I'm so excited. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited too. Thanks for having me. Sorry, I had to make sure my lips aren't ashy.
Yeah, listen, my chapstick's somewhere around here somewhere. I was like, I don't like the crustiness. Like, no, like,
Hey,
come
no.
on, let's get it together.
Yeah, yeah. All good. All good.
Good. How's your Saturday going?
It's going. I had got an early start because my daughter had dance. So we just were getting back and
Oh
doing our
yeah.
Saturday cleanup. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's been going good.
absolutely. Um, it's so beautiful outside too. So we're gonna do what we need to do here so we can go ahead and go and enjoy the beautiful sun while we have it for sure.
Where are you at? Where are you located?
I am on, I'll tell you off of live. I'll
Okay.
tell you off of live where I am.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Minerva. Yeah, everybody's looking really good for sure. All right. I am not going to hold us up any longer. I'm just going to go ahead and do a brief introduction here, real quick. So, thank you guys so much for joining us live today. We are having a discussion on spirituality and mental health. Oftentimes we sometimes can confuse the two in some ways, and sometimes we need spiritual health where mental health is concerned, and sometimes we need mental health where spirituality is concerned. And hopefully at the end of this discussion, we all have a better of understanding of what that looks like for each one of us individually, and then as well as some wonderful resources, not just for the spiritual side of things, but also for people who are looking for spiritually competent counselors that aren't going to judge you or make you feel some type of way about your spiritual practices, and give you the opportunity to see that both can coexist at the same time. So that is the goal for today. And without further ado, Ms. Brandi, if you would like to introduce yourself, a little bit of your background, and really what got you into mental health to begin with.
Okay. So I'll try to keep it short. I'm very long-winded. Um, so I'm Brandi Rahim. I have been working in mental health. Ooh, it's been like 15 years. Yeah, it's been a long time. My oldest is 16. So yeah, I would say about 15 years I've been working in mental health. Um, I always knew that I wanted to help people, but I thought I wanted to be a nurse. So I literally was like, I'm going to go to nursing school, blah, blah, blah. I realized I didn't like blood and needles, so I couldn't do that. And so I found social work was a way that I could still like work in a hospital, work with moms and babies, still work with children. Like I could do all the things that nurses do without having to like do all the bloody, gory stuff. And so, yeah, I kind of started my career working in children's services, worked in foster care agencies. I worked for the county. I worked for hospitals. I worked with people living with HIV and AIDS. I did a little bit of hospice. So I kind of have touched every area and every population. I did school social work. Um, and yeah, wherever I went, I don't know, there was just always these synchronicities or like these things that everybody was having in common. And I've always been like somebody who like thinks deeper than beyond what I'm told or what I've seen. And I'm just always like, there is something else. There's a missing component here when it comes to mental health. And even being in school and listening to some of the theories and things, I'm like, where were the black people? Like, where were we at when these theories were being brought up and when these diagnoses were being wrote out, when the DSM was written? And so I always knew I wanted to dig deeper into that. I didn't know exactly what the missing piece was, but I just always felt like there was something missing. But I also felt called to continue in the career, like don't give up. So yeah, I've been doing this for over 15 years in different capacities. The last 5 years, I've been doing therapy, like private practice therapy. And so yeah, I just always knew that I wanted to help people. People have always told me their business, warranted and unwarranted. Being on an airplane and somebody just tell you their whole life story, or just being in stores and people come up to me and ask me my opinion, like which shirt should I get, and I'm like, I don't work here.
Yeah.
So I just feel
Feel
like
all their guts.
yeah, so I just feel like that was always the energy that I had where people felt like I had the answer to something. And so I ran from that calling for a long time, but I realized like, no, this is who you're called to be. You do have the answers. So this is why people seek you out. So Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you also bring up that when it comes to the actual science of mental health, that there isn't a lot of representation for Black people. And especially considering how recent generations have gone through such trauma that have been empirically shown to have such be so embedded in our DNA that we don't really fully understand how we show up and why we show the way we show up. And it's not that the problem just started with us. It
Yeah.
goes back further beyond what we may seem or what may feel like is just within our purview. The whole crabs in a barrel type thing. If I got to hurry up and get mine, because if I don't have mine, even though I want to help you, I got to take care of it. It's like self-preservation, right? And that's also a part of the spiritual path as well, is understanding what those generational traumas and curses may be, and knowing that mental health was put here for a reason, while counselors were put here for a reason. That everything is not, our spiritual path should lead us to that. Our spiritual path should lead us to these different healing modalities that help us to be the best version of ourselves. Spiritual work is great in and of itself, but sometimes we need a professional, someone who has studied the mind, someone who really understands the ins and out of our brain and how it functions, but not just that, but from a cultural perspective. And why we behave the way that we do is because we were grown up on it. I saw someone recently post that, I forget her name, but she is so funny. She posted that spiritual being poor, quote unquote, we made it look really nice. We made it look more appealing than with people who had things. It's just us making the best out of what we have. And unfortunately, sometimes it's always being in that survival mentality, always being ungrounded, always having this sense of, if I don't have what's going to happen next. And which is another reason why I wanted you up here too, was is also to explain that side of that. But also, before we dig too deep into that side of it, I'm curious of your own spiritual practices and beliefs, and also how you are able to integrate that into your practice.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't check a box when it comes to anything because I've learned that as I evolve and grow, things change. And so, I mean, I wouldn't check a box and say that I'm anything. I just say that I'm spiritual. So spiritual
Mhm.
practices that I engage in are like yoga. I'm very much a yogi. I try to do yoga every day. I'm heavy into meditation and mindfulness, trying to like stay still and be present. I'm very much a nature person. I love to go out in nature. I love to be by water. I feel like I get very clear downloads when I'm near water. And so that's where I feel closest to my higher self or God or source, universe, whatever you call it. But I mean, I just truly believe that there is something beyond us. Like I wholeheartedly believe that that something exists that is bigger than just this human experience. I feel like we come here to learn. I feel like Earth is a school, and we have incarnated here at this time to learn lessons that are here in this human experience. I feel like our ancestors, the people that died that were here before us, help guide us on our journey. I believe that there are other realms exist, and so I believe in like quantum jumping and 3D and 5D. I'm very much a like alien star seed. Like I go very deep with with my thoughts and my practices. But
Speak it.
I just said that I am very spiritual.
Mhm.
And I believe that God, exists within each and every one of us. We are all intuitive. We all have these psychic gifts and powers. And I feel like our life journey is learning how to get back to that. I feel like we've had past lives. We come back here and we forget. And the journey is about remembering your sovereignty, remembering your power, your divinity, remembering who you are. And so I feel like that's what we come back here to do. That is the healing journey, the discovery journey is um, going back to that remembering of who you are and the power that you have that has existed time and time and time again, and that has run through our veins for decades and decades and decades. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Especially the concept of being incarnated here to learn something. And I feel like that mental health aspect of it is like the door that we are looking for to open and explore further into what lessons we are here to learn. And it ends up showing up in sometimes in unfavorable ways in several different types of mental health conditions. You know, I won't spend too much time in that area, but
Yeah.
I feel like that mental health aspect of it is like when those problems and those issues arise in that area, it's like, okay, that's what I'm supposed to be learning. That's
Yes.
why it's a I don't want to say like a bad thing for people to experience or go through, but if you come here and you incarnate and you have mental health issues, learning how to navigate this life experience with those mental health issues, addressing them and not being demonized for them, or using spirituality for some in a place where mental health could really be more beneficial in some ways. And correct me if I'm speaking incorrectly about it, but I just feel like sometimes it's not always a candle. It's not always like, even though there's a spiritual element in it, still, you know what I mean? But when it, but we need a little help.
Yeah.
And I have another question after all of this is over because that leads me to something else. But
Yeah.
I really wanted to see how you integrate a person's spiritual practice in with their mental health counseling sessions. So, like if they come to you and they say they practice, I don't know, spirituality in the way that you do, what are some ways that you encourage that they stay grounded in their spiritual practices while also encompassing that mental health aspect of it? Does that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does. I think for me, I have intertwined them so much. It's hard for me to separate because I believe that everything is spiritual. I don't care what it is. Everything is spiritual. And I tell people, because some people are like, I'm not into all that stuff. And I'm like, and that's fine. You don't have to be, because the thing about spirit is it works whether you believe in it or not. You can say you don't believe in it, and that's fine. It still works because everything is spiritual. And so I just realized that a lot of the mental health pieces and spiritual pieces align. And so, for instance, we all have trauma, right? We all have had some type of big event that has happened, whether we've been abandoned, betrayed, abused in some way, had a toxic relationship. We all have had some type of significant trauma. And so, what happens is our brain stops at that instant, and it starts to move a different way, which is what happens. And so a lot of times people think that something is wrong with them, and I always go back to, no, what happened to you, not what's wrong with you, what happened to you, because that was the catalyst. Like you said, you feel like mental health is that piece that sparks it. It does. Usually mental health is the piece that sparks that awakening. You realize that something happened.
Oh
I
yeah.
have these symptoms. Something's going on. How do I fix it? That literally sparks the catalyst for your spiritual journey, which we call your dark night of the soul, or your awakening, or when you become woke. That your mental health, it's the trauma that sparks that. And so again, we're not here to suffer or be punished. We are here to learn from that. How can we grow from that trauma, from being a child who was abused or neglected or abandoned, who has these negative relationship patterns where they keep ending up with narcissists? That is spiritual. That is the journey to learn how to love yourself, to learn how to set boundaries. And so our mental health is just the symptoms of our trauma. Something happened, we have these symptoms, whether that's bipolar, schizophrenia, anxiety, which most of us have, depression. Those are just symptoms. And so when you're coming to me, yes, we're going to work on alleviating the symptoms first, but we have to know where we started. This didn't start with you. Sometimes this stuff is karmic. Sometimes we have
Yeah.
karma from our ancestors and stuff that they did, right? and
Yes.
and they were spiritual and they were gifted, but the thing is, back then it was more welcome to be powerful. There wasn't all this indoctrination. You weren't told that you were evil and demonic. Now everything is evil and demonic, and it's like, nah, great granny ain't play that. She was superstitious. She put candles. She did all that stuff. But again, it was welcome. So I feel like mental health wasn't that prevalent because we had a place to channel that energy and a place to use our gifts. Now everything is very much into the church and it's demonic. And so we're not allowed to fully express, which is why the symptoms build up. And now we feel like we're crazy. You're not crazy. You're not a psycho. We have to learn where we started and where this started and how to address that. And so I feel like, you're coming for both. And you may be coming because you're like, I don't like the way I feel. I'm having these symptoms. And yes, we're going to reduce the symptoms, but we have to address the trauma. We have to address our lineage. We have to know where we came from. We have to know that society teaches us to dim. It teaches us to shrink. And anytime you're dimming and shrinking and not aligned with your soul, you're going to feel mentally ill. You're going to feel out of alignment. You're going to feel anxious because you're not allowed to fully express. You're not being able to fully express your emotions. So of course you feel mentally ill and you feel quote unquote crazy. And I'm not here to minimize mental health and say that, oh, you don't have a mental illness, because yes, it does exist, but it exists because there has been a significant trauma is what I'm saying. And so there is a need to reduce the symptoms. There is a need, I believe in medication if that's what you need to start out to get you at a baseline. But we have to address the trauma. We have to address the negative thought patterns that have come from that. So we do a lot of combating these negative cognitive distortions that we have. The all or nothing thinking, the black and white thinking, the I'm not enough. Because again, when you have a trauma, you create a narrative about it. The brain does that. So that you can survive it, you have to have a narrative about why this happened. And a lot of times the narrative that we come up with is not the right narrative and it's not the truth. And so there's a lot of rewiring that needs to happen in the brain, which is why therapy is useful, because we have to come and learn, where did that thought come from? Where did that symptom come from? Where did that behavior come from? And if we could change our thoughts, we can change our emotions. When we change our emotions, we can change our behaviors. And that's cognitive behavioral therapy. That's the basis of coming to talk to a counselor. But I, as a spiritual being, understand all of that on a science level, but also on a spiritual level too. Sometimes our thoughts and stories are from our lineage, right? The lack, the fear mindset, the fear of being seen, the fear of being big, or the fear of being successful. Sometimes that is pushed down on us because our ancestors were afraid. They wanted to survive. So we couldn't be big. We couldn't fully express ourselves. We had to dim. And so again, bringing all that to surface and dealing with it face on is how we reduce the symptoms, is how we reduce the anxiety, the depression, and how we learn how to fully take care of ourselves. So I think you need both. We have to address both. And so I integrate a lot of that into therapy. If I need to pull a card for the energy, or if we're just doing a meditation, a mindfulness practice, or doing some Reiki, doing some sound bowls, because a lot of this stuff exists on a cellular level. And so are we getting to the somatic stuff, right? Talk therapy is great, but how are we actually moving this energy and trauma out of the body? That's where yoga comes in. That's where mindfulness comes in. So you need a little talk therapy, but you also need to physically be able to move that trauma out of your body. Trauma gets stored in the body, which also causes symptoms, physical symptoms. So fibroids, cysts, fibromyalgia, arthritis. I tell people that is trauma that is stuck and stored in the body that needs to be moved. Woo! So you can't have one without the other. Everything that, as within, so without, as above, so below. Everything that exists externally exists internally. And so I could go on and on and on.
Oh, no, please. Because when you mention fibroids and you mention especially issues with our reproductive organs, I went on a Reiki retreat last year, and one of the healers was like, a lot of people who have mommy issues also have those issues in that area. A lot of people who have a lot of like constipation, for instance, are people who don't have a way of releasing things. They hold a lot of things in, and you don't recognize how deep that runs. It's like you said a lot of key things, but I want to ask and PCOS.
Let me tell y'all about PCOS. Let me say a quick thing about PCOS.
Please.
And this was told to me through just meditation and mindfulness. PCOS, if you are not ovulating, right? You're not ovulating, you're not having a regular period. Understand that you are operating in your masculine, and now your body has felt like it is turning into a man. Men don't ovulate and men don't menstruate. So when you are not regularly having a cycle, you are operating in your masculine energy, which is why you start to get facial hair. Okay, which is why you stop bleeding, which is why it's inconsistent, which is why you're gaining weight. You are operating in your masculine energy. And a lot of us have to. Again, we're running households, we're raising children alone, so I get it. It's not your fault. But understand that that is what's happening. When you are, your mind is so powerful that whatever you're operating in and thinking about, your body will turn into. You know how you be scared you pregnant and you don't have a period, your period late is because you're pregnant. Literally everything exists on an energetic level. So if you believe that you big dog and you the man, then that's what you're gonna turn into. And so it's about diet. It's about getting back into that feminine essence. It's about taking care of yourself so that your body remembers again, oh, I am feminine. I have a womb. I need to operate in that. And that is why it's so important for us as women and men. We all need to take care of ourselves. But if you're operating in your masculine energy, of course PCOS is coming because your body is confused. We running a household, we working, we in hustle mode, we ain't rest. The feminine rest, okay? The feminine does not chase, it attracts. Okay? And so anytime,
Brandi.
anytime you step outside of that, your body is now going to follow that. Okay, well, we have to shut down reproducing because we're producing right now. We're working, we're running a household. We have no time to birth. And so I need to shut down the system that births because we not operating in that right now. So PCOS, it never was this prevalent. Now everybody has it, but think about how many single parent households there are where women are running them. Think about how many women are working outside the home now. Think about how many women are bosses and busy. Of course PCOS exists. There is a blockage there and your reproductive system has shut down. It's also why we have a lot of anxiety. We can't trust our intuition because we're not using our womb space. Your intuition comes from your womb. If you're not regularly bleeding, your body is not cycling. It's not getting rid of toxins and it's not cleansing itself the way it needs to. Your womb is your second brain. And so if that is blocked, you're not getting intuitive downloads. You need your sacral energy for that. And so, of course, we have anxiety. We can't hear the divine. We cannot connect to the divine. We cannot connect to our goddess energy. So, yes, that is where PCOS and fibroids come from. It is stuck in stored energy. And yes, if you have a mommy wound and you hold on to shit, which is why you're constipated, you are holding on to shit, literally and energetically. So a lot of these physical ailments is trauma. Autoimmune disorders are from trauma. Your body is learning to attack itself because you have been gaslit. You have been abused. And now you're taking on that same stuff. And so your body is initially, it's attacking itself. So I just had to say that about PCOS and a lot of these physical ailments that we have, insulin resistance, high cortisol, anxiety, PCOS, that stuff is literally coming because we are not living in our feminine essence. We are not. We're letting these men knock our pH off because he nutting in us and he ain't eating right. He ain't drinking right. He, drinking. He ain't eating good. He ain't living right. So we taking on his karma, his lineage, and allowing that to infiltrate our portals. So again, it's a lot. It's deeper than just these diseases. Dis-ease, okay, your body is not at ease. A lot of that stuff comes from trauma. A lot of that stuff needs to be cured on an energetic level. So yes, take your metformin and, take your blood pressure. I'm not saying don't take care of yourself, but understand that is just curing the symptoms. It's not getting to the root of the problem. And until we face our childhood trauma, our daddy issues, our mommy issues, we stop, repeating these dangerous cycles with these narcissists and, just letting any man into our portal where our intuitiveness comes from, we're going to be thrown off. We're going to be thrown off. We're not eating right. We're not eating whole foods anymore. We're not outside barefoot, dancing in the rain, talking to the trees. We have gotten so disconnected from our feminine self. We are turning into men. Literally, we're turning
quite literally
men. So yeah, if gray hair falling out, nails thin, it's a lot of symptoms. We have to take better care of ourselves. We have to. We are literally withering away.
Oh yeah. And I feel like it's a part of the plan, for lack of better terms.
There's a war. There's a war.
Overwork us to get us to the point of exhaustion where we have no fight at all. Yeah. it's like burning the candle at both ends. I'm trying to make sure I take care of myself, my children, my household. My health is also an issue. They're taking away Medicaid. I can't even afford insurance now. How am I going to be able to pay for the medicines that can at least alleviate some of my symptoms to a point where I can somewhat function, even with medications for mental health uh, ailments or illnesses? It's like you're burning it at both ends. And how insightful is that? If everybody could hear what you just said about our physical body being a literal manifestation of the trauma that we have within ourselves, and even if it is not our own trauma, it's the trauma that's in our DNA. It's the trauma from our ancestors that always having to be in survival mode, always having to look at. And I think of a story, and I remember that I heard this and I was like, damn. Sometimes when they had like this story of this enslaved family on a plantation, and the slave master would go to this enslaved woman and be like, your son is working really, really hard. Your son is pulling the most cotton. He's doing the most work. He's the strongest. And the mother's response to that is, oh, no, he's not. Oh, no, he's not. He's awful. He's terrible. He's the worst at it. But you think that why the hell would a mama say that about her own child? But what's happening is that slave master sees a gold mine in your son that's pulling twice and three times as much as what everybody else is doing, is just ready to cash out. And mama's trying to keep her baby at home. But what's happening with that is that we forget that that was the reason why that happened to begin with. And that is passed on down generations, down to your own children. So when your mother has an issue with you, or y'all have this thing where y'all are butting heads, she's seeing it because that's what her grandparents did, but did not understand. Nobody told her that was the reason why they did what they did.
Right.
That's in us. That's what's keeping the Black family unit as divided as it is right now. Part of the reason, anyway. Absolutely. That's powerful. That's powerful. Listen. Okay, so another question. You mentioned medication and mental health. Yeah. At what point do you feel it's necessary? Is it only for people who have more complex forms of mental health illnesses, like maybe schizophrenia or bipolar disorder? Or do you where is the line drawn with medication, and who do you feel like it's best for, and where you can take a different avenue to get a better result, so to speak?
Yeah. Well, let me say this. I'm going to start by saying this. One doesn't work without the other. Okay. Mm-hmm. So people want to get on a pill, and that's fine. But if you're not going to therapy, the pill is just stopping the symptoms, right? So, okay, I'm anxious. I worry all day. I think a lot. I can't focus in class or at work. I'm jittery. I'm eating a lot. I'm just so anxious. I can't calm down. I can't get through my day. Okay. The pill is going to stop you from feeling anxious, right? It's going to allow you to focus and chill. But you're going to always be dependent on that pill because you're not addressing the reason that you're feeling anxious in the first place. So yes, take the medicine along with cognitive behavioral therapy, along with EMDR, along with some type of somatic method of healing. Also, you think, oh, I go to therapy every week. I'm this, I'm that. Okay, and that's fine. But if you don't know your baseline and you haven't got down to baseline, therapy is not going to help those symptoms right away. And so I will say that, yes, if you're on medicine, it's working for you, it's got you at baseline, therapy with it will be very effective, because now we've got you to a baseline where you're not overthinking and you're not super anxious all day. You can actually learn coping skills. You can actually learn about your trauma and how you got there. But one doesn't work without the other. So I'm not a run to the pharmacy and get you some meds. I think that you need it if you can't get through your day. If you are struggling to keep your job, if you are yelling at your kids, if you're not getting out the bed and you're not showering because you're so depressed, you're not eating, sleeping, doing anything, then yes, I would say if it's getting in the way of your activities of daily living, your ability to cook, clean, pay bills, take care of your children, take care of yourself, go to work, live a life where you feel like it's sustainable for you, then yes, get on medication. There are natural remedies. Sometimes those don't work for everybody, right? Like for anxiety, we have L-theanine. I think I'm saying it right. But like you could take that. You could take magnesium. You know what I mean? You could do yoga. You could go outside. Sometimes the sunlight helps with our mental illness. You know, when the sun is out, you just happier because again, we need that vitamin D to activate our melanin. It gives us endorphins and things like that. So again, it's not always my first choice to run to medication, but some people have severe trauma where they do need medicine to get them at baseline so that they can get therapy and really take heed to the therapy. But I do feel like, yes, if you're at the point that you are not able to function in everyday life, it is getting in the way of work, your ability to take care of yourself and your children, then yes. If you needed glasses, I ask my clients this all the time. If you went to the doctor and the doctor said, "Ooh, you can't see. You gonna run into people when you're driving. You ain't gonna be able to see the signs. You ain't gonna be able to see the computer." You would go get glasses, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you feel like you are struggling that bad where you can't get through your day, why not take the medicine? It does not have to be forever. I know people like, I don't want to be on it forever. You don't have to be on it forever, but you need to be on it until you can gain some coping skills and some insight into your situation. And so, yeah, it's not a forever thing. And I do understand not wanting to get addicted, which is why you need therapy, which is why you still need to move your body, which is why you need to change your diet. Medicine is not the end all be all. It is a quick fix. It's an instant gratification, but long term, you want to be able to navigate this on your own. And you do that by therapy, by gaining coping skills, by journaling, by moving your body, by eating whole foods, by drinking herbal tea, by meditating, by changing your thought patterns. But again, sometimes you can't do that when you're so elevated and your nervous system is shot to hell and you've been gaslit your whole life and you've been abandoned and people have put you down. Sometimes you need the medicine to get you at baseline first. So I'm not a run to the pharmacy, but I am like, don't suffer when you don't have to. If you needed glasses, you would go get glasses with no problem. Sometimes just get the glasses. Just get the glasses, get you to a therapist, get you some coping skills, and then slowly be able to wean yourself off the medicine at some point. But yeah, schizophrenia, if you are having hallucinations and delusions, which again, I'm very iffy about that because I feel like some people with schizophrenia are just very much connected to another realm and they're getting downloads from the other side. Now, again, if the voices are telling you to harm yourself or harm somebody else, then yes, now we need medication. We don't want to harm ourselves or harm other people. So I feel like, again, it's always a fine line. I'm very much a person that wants to decolonize mental health. I don't see people as crazy or psycho. I see people as either very tapped into another realm or not. They're very much in the physical or they're over in the spiritual. And sometimes people lose a break from which one is reality, right? I understand that. But sometimes there is a time where I feel like, okay, you need to be medicated. We're getting to the part that we're harming ourselves or harming others. My safety is my number one priority. So are you safe? If you can't keep yourself safe or others safe, then yes, we need to be taking different measures. But I do understand that a lot of these mental illnesses are spiritual gifts. They are spiritual gifts that you have not accessed and you have not tapped into. For the longest time, I thought that I was so anxious and I had so much anxiety because something was wrong with me. I was having heart palpitations, shortness of breath, panicky, sweaty. But what was happening was I wasn't in alignment with my soul. I wasn't living the way I was supposed to be living. I'm supposed to be doing spiritual work. I'm supposed to be reading tarot. I'm supposed to be helping people on their journeys. And anytime I would go get a job, I would have anxiety because I wasn't in alignment. I wasn't crazy. You know what I mean? I started having downloads. I'm like, okay, how do I know this? Where does I get this from? Am I schizophrenic? No, I'm not schizophrenic. I'm a psychic. Okay. I get downloads from God, from universe, from source. And so once I learn how to live with my gifts, the anxiety does not exist. But when I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know why, and I'm feeling out of touch with reality and I'm feeling like I'm not like everybody else. Why am I so different? Why am I so weird? Yes, it caused anxiety because I didn't know what it was. Now it's very clear to me when I'm anxious, I'm out of alignment with something. I'm not doing my spiritual practices. I'm not showering as much. I got to shower a lot because water really cleanses me, but I'm not saging. I'm not doing my yoga. So now my anxiety is more for me a warning. Hey, you're not taking care of yourself. If I'm starting to feel anxious, what haven't I done? Have I journaled? Have I stretched? Have I ate today? Did I have caffeine? Because I also had to lay off caffeine. How much carbs did I have? Right? Carbs, sometimes sugar, so a lot of times now my anxiety is telling me something. And again, a lot of times our symptoms is your body telling you something. But what do? Oh, I'm just depressed. Well, why? Why have you felt numb? Why has your nervous system shut down to where you don't feel anything? There's a story behind that. So understand that these symptoms and things are your body's way of trying to communicate to you that something is out of alignment, something is wrong. And yes, sometimes you may need a pill to work on that until you can get into some therapy, get, I don't know, 6 months under your belt, get some tools going. And then we could talk about maybe getting off the medicine and learning how to navigate it. But it's all information. It's all information. Disease is information. Illnesses are information. Schizophrenia is information. Bipolar is information. ADHD, neurodivergency, information. And a lot of times the neurodivergents are just very tapped in, very spiritual, very psychic, very intuitive. And everything has been told that something's wrong with us. And that's not always the truth. It's not always that something is wrong with you. You know, we all come here with our own purpose and our own mission, right? And sometimes that is the way. The things that you think make you unlovable, the things that make you feel like you're less than are literally your superpowers. Superpowers. So I always want to normalize that for people, that you're not broken. I had a client this week that was like, I'm so broken. And I'm like, you are not broken. You're not broken. Something happened. Something happened to you.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I think that's profound because oftentimes in the spiritual community, things like taking a more, what is not seen as spiritual, like using medication, is like either a cop out or, you know, why aren't you just doing this? Why do you need the medication for it when you can just be, it's given Abrahamic religion is what it's given. Just go to the church and go to the front and let the pastor lay hands on you real quick and you're going to be good. No, you need the medication. If you are that off where you cannot be, reach a point of self-awareness that you can regulate yourself in the environment that you're in, then you need help. And there's nothing wrong with that. But with that medication, some people use it as a crutch and continue to feed themselves that medication so they stay numb or so they become numb. And then we're back. Now we have another problem on top of the one that we were trying to address at the beginning. Now we have an addiction problem, which is why it is so important for you to go to a mental health professional. If you have, we hopefully at the end of this, we'll be able to get a bunch of people some resources in their states, or at least a central location for you to find it for yourself, but also being very careful and being very mindful of one who is spiritually and culturally competent as well. So you don't want to get to a situation where you are leaving the church and go find, and now you're awakened and you're experiencing all of these beautiful things, and you hear our conversation about mental health and you end up going to a counselor who was also in the church, who also identifies with those same principles. You're not getting the help that you need.
No. And you have to be careful too who you go to, because if they are not aware of spirituality, they may call the psych ward on you. They may call the police. And now we're looking at criminalization for, being mentally ill, right? And so again, you want to make sure that you're not going to a therapist who is Christian based and saying, I hear voices. God told me this. I had an intuitive download, because they're going to say, oh, they're having hallucinations and delusions. Put them in a 72-hour hold. And so you do have to make sure that you're interviewing therapists and asking, what are your spiritual beliefs? What are your spiritual practices? Because you might think, I'm going here and being open and honest and transparent, and next thing you in a straitjacket. And it's like, how did I end up here? But sometimes there are therapists that also are indoctrinated. And there are therapists that are deeply rooted in Western culture and have not explored other religions, other cultures, other practices. And so you don't want to end up in a pickle. I've had people come to me and like, I'm scared to tell you this because I don't want you to call the police on me. I'm scared to tell you this because I don't want you sending me to the hospital for a psychiatric hold. I know the difference right now. Like I said, if you telling me you cutting yourself and the demon told you to go shoot your grandma, like, yeah, we need to be calling somebody, but we're going to call together. You know what I mean? I'm not criminalizing you. I'm going to make sure we got you straight, because I have to keep you safe. But if you're telling me that you're getting downloads and you're having dreams about stuff before it happens, or that you're just feeling this strong pull about something, I'm not seeing that as a hallucination or delusion, because that is literally what happens to me as well. And so I've also had to make sure that I'm mindful about what I tell my therapist. But again, I make sure I have a therapist who's very spiritual, who does energy work.
Exactly.
So you want to be very careful, because again, everybody went to a different school to get their degree. Everybody has their own denomination or religious belief. And again, if you are Christian, yes, go to a Christian counselor. Get somebody who's in alignment with you. But if you are spiritual and you're not finding somebody you connect with, you need to make sure that you are seeking out a therapist that's in alignment with you, because it very much could be a trip to the hospital that ain't gotta be. You know what I mean? I've seen people who have been in that situation because they thought they were talking to a trusted therapist. And again, therapists, we have to cover our ass too. It's a liability on our license, if something does happen to one of our clients. So yeah, there's a fine line, but that's why you have to be in tune and know what's really going on. Using your own intuition to say, oh, this person is a danger to themselves or not, or, oh man, they're really cracking open and having their awakening right now, and I'm going to be in it with them. Because I ain't gonna hold you. The spiritual awakening ain't nothing to play with. It is scary. It is sad. It is, horrific, reliving your trauma and going back to your inner child and thinking about what your mom did and your great grandma. And, it's not for the weak. But you have to have somebody that has the capacity to hold space. And that by knowing what stuff your therapist is into. Like, I interviewed with someone yesterday and she asked me, how do you take care of yourself? Because I need to make sure that the therapist I'm going to practices what they preach. So again, that's a good question to ask your therapist. What type of spiritual practices do you have? And I'm like, I see an energy healer. I go to therapy. I do yoga. I meditate. I cleanse myself before sessions. So again, it's not, need to get all in a business, because again, are you taking care of yourself? How I have to, the reason I'm able to hold space for others is because I do my own spiritual work. And so also make sure that you're following somebody that is doing their own work. I cannot continue to be a therapist and a good one if I'm not continuing to do my own healing journey. Because honestly, everything is a mirror. I have clients that come to me that I'm like, oh, that's me. You know what I mean? Everything is a duality. So understand that we get triggered too, right? Sometimes y'all bring up my stuff. When I have clients, I'm like, oh, she's bringing up my own wounds. So again, it's a continuous work that I'm doing. When I'm doing tarot readings for people, it brings up my stuff too. Sometimes I say stuff to my clients.
All the time.
Okay, Spirit, you being funny.
I'm like, is this for me?
Yeah.
Like collective readings. I'm like, okay, but the collective, hello, I'm a part of that too. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to me and everybody else at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm glad that you also brought up a couple of questions to ask therapists when we are seeking someone in therapy who is spiritually competent, to ask those questions at the beginning, because what you don't want to happen is get to a point where you become raw and now you feel like you're open and you have this trusting relationship with your counselor to the point where you want to divulge into your spiritual path. And now all of a sudden, oh, you weren't Christian? Oh, okay. And now it's something completely different. That is so important with the questions that you ask. So what are your spiritual practices, for instance, to be one of the first questions. And then even if they don't align with your spiritual beliefs, are they open to it? Are they open to hearing your side of what you have going on without judging you, or without forcing some kind of narrative on you, and seeing that you are having your journey and your spiritual experience the same way everybody else is? I want to ask you another question.
Yeah.
I wonder if in your therapy sessions, do their ancestors ever come and be like, look, this is what's wrong with her. I'm going to tell you right now, this is what's going on. Where is the line between hearing what they say and making sure that you're like still ethical in your practice and how you do it?
Yeah. So I get a lot of messages and things, but what I'm learning in my own work and how to use my own spiritual gifts is not everything needs to be shared. So I used to be a person that when I got a download or had a dream about somebody, I called them up first thing in the morning, like, girl, this is what happened. But Spirit has been on me heavy, like, that's for you. That's for you. That's it's not always for them. And so, if an ancestor comes through or I'm getting a download about them, I have to discern whether that's something I need to share with them, or I need to know that because that's going to help me in treating them. You know what I mean? So I'm always using my own discernment. Like, okay, that was said for me to say to them, or that was said for just me to know what's going on as they're talking. But I'm always trying to be very present with them, understand what's going on, what's their perception of it, no matter what downloads I'm getting, because I'm also a human being. So, you know what I mean? I have my own biases, I have my own things. And so I'm just always trying to stay present in them and what the experience is like for them, regardless of what it looks or feels like to me. But there are things that I share or I ask questions for clarity. Hey, is this really what's under this? Or I'm getting the sense that does that fit at all? And so again, I'm asking because they're the expert. I don't care how intuitive and psychic I am. They are the expert on their life. I can't tell them more about them. You know, they have to be the ones that self-aware. And I do think another part of therapy is for me not to tell them what to do. I'm just here to be a guide. I'm here to hold your hand and say, you're uncomfortable, but you're going through this. I'm in it with you. I'm sitting right here. I'm holding your hand going through this with you, but I'm not here to be like, girl, drop that 0 and get a hero. I'm not doing that. This is your journey and your life, and whatever it is that you want to do, I'm here for that. As long as you're safe and other people are safe, I'm just here to guide you. I'm not a savior. I'm not here to save you. I'm a healer, but I'm here to heal myself. I'm not here to heal other people. I'm here to help them initiate their own healing. You know what I mean? So I'm always with you. I'm always with you. I'm not telling you, girl, you need to. I'm not suggesting. If you ask me, some people be like, okay, now, Brandi, stop being my therapist and just tell me the real. Okay. And if you want that, you got to be ready for that. But I'm never telling people what to do because I'm not a savior. They came here to go through that. I'm not jumping in front of nobody's karma. If you did that, it's going to be some natural consequences that come with that. And I'm going to be here with you when the natural consequences come. But we have to go through. I'm going to hold you accountable. We're going to face our stuff. We're going to feel, because a lot of us has been taught to shut our feelings down, to not feel, to stand 10 toes, to catch flights, not feelings, all this dumb shit. And it's like, no, we going to feel in my space. We're going to feel our emotions. We're going to say how we feel, because a lot of times we've learned to intellectualize our feelings. Well, I feel like they was being funny. That's not a feeling. You feel hurt. You feel sad. You feel apathetic. You feel betrayed. You feel depressed. You feel sad. Like, we need to talk about feelings. Because again, a lot of our disease and our anxiety and depression is the fact that we're not in touch with how we feel. We're not in our heart space. We're all in our head making up scenarios. So yeah, I'm not a tell you what to do. My download said, my ancestors said no, because I don't want you to start looking at me like I have all the answers. You have all the answers inside of you, and I'm here to help you pull them out. I'm not here to be the answer.
I think it's important that you mention that too, because a lot of people have this conception of therapy to be one where your therapist or your counselor is going to tell you exactly what to do and how to get out of it. But what that does is reduces and diminishes your own autonomy to be able to make your own decisions. And now if Brandi told you that this was the best way for you to do XYZ, and that ended up not being the case, now it's Brandi's fault. Yep. You don't have to take accountability for it because my therapist said this, that, and the other. You still have the right to do and be and make your own decisions. These, like Brandi said, you're the expert. You still have to run your own race. She's just there to be there with you and beside you to make sure, hey, watch that. You see that? Okay. All right. You good? All right. Now let's go. That's how it's supposed to be. So with that, for people who may not have someone who is like you, who is both mentally and spiritually competent in their state, for instance, or they may not have the funding or may not be able to afford it right now, or it doesn't fit in their schedule, or whatever the reason may be. What are some tips that you would recommend for people who want to also ensure that they are still mentally healthy as well as honoring their spiritual path with it also?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say look on Psychology Today. Use the filters. You can hit spirituality. You can hit Black. You can hit all type of things. So there's tons of filters on there. Check for people's profile that says sliding scale fee, because a lot of therapists take sliding scale fees, meaning if you cannot afford their rate, they will give you a lower rate. Okay. So that's the first thing. Don't just count out that, oh, I can't afford it. You don't know. Ask for what you need. And again, that's spiritual. That's part of the spiritual journey. Learning to ask for what you need. Stop fearing rejection. You know, sometimes we'll count ourselves out again because of our beliefs that there's just not enough or that I can't afford it. You don't know what you can afford if you don't try or you don't ask. And so again, as spiritualists, as a spiritual therapist, I also feel like it's a duty of mine to be helping the collective, to help people that want to wake up and that are conscious. So if it's a way that I could see you, I'm gonna make a way to see you. And so again, ask for sliding scale fees. Also, if you have a job and you have a high deductible, but you have an FHA card, you could pay for therapy with your FHA, or is it HSA? Yeah, HSA, health spending account. So yeah, if you have that through your job, also know that those cards work as credit cards when you're paying for a service like that's medical or mental health. So, don't count yourself out. A lot of us also take Medicaid if you have Medicaid. But if you just absolutely cannot afford it, cannot find a therapist in your area, there's tons of free stuff online. There's tons of free stuff online. Following Sierra, following me. I post stuff all the time that can be helpful. I have full moon circles and new moon circles during the month. Those are free. We literally just hopping on Zoom. And so there are other ways that you can get what you need. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. You know what I mean? Find what resonates with you. Journal. Get your own thoughts out. Meditate. Go out in nature. Understand that we are always looking for something outside of us, but we have all the tools inside that we need, right? We do need help. We do need community, right? We're not here to do this alone. And so finding people online, getting in a lot of the spiritual groups. Sometimes people like to get on Zoom or, get on live in those groups. And so find your community, find your soul tribe, find your people that just get it. Don't underestimate the power of just a friend. I've met so many spiritual friends online that are lifelong friends. And we met on Instagram, or we met in a spiritual group, and then we just formed our own friendship. And they helped me through hard times. I just called one yesterday. I was like, girl, it's spicy season. I'm having a day. And she was like, girl, me too. And again, we met online. But she's spiritual. She gets it. She's a therapist. She's a tarot reader. So we can go there. And so finding your soul tribe, finding your community until you can find a professional. But know that we are out there. Get on Psychology Today. Get on Google. Interview therapists. Ask questions. This is your session. You're going to make sure they're a good fit for you. You're not going to impress them. You're going to make sure that they're a good fit for you, that they're going to be able to walk this journey with you. Ask them what type of work they've done on themselves. How deep are they in their own journey? Because again, I can only help you as deeply as I've helped myself. If I haven't explored that part of me, I can't help you navigate that part of you either. And so make sure they're doing their own work. Follow them. You know what I mean? I'm a person that's like, I ain't gonna go ask my clients to be my friend, but if you find my page, look at my stuff. If how I'm living my life and stuff don't align with you, I'm not the therapist for you. So look them up, Google them, see what type of stuff they into, so that you know whether they align with you. Do your research. All my pages are open. I'm an open book. You're gonna see me on there in my normal element. You know what I mean? You might see me twerking a little bit if you like. I don't want a therapist that's twerking you, but I'm putting out here what I am so that you know that if it's in alignment. And know that not every therapist is your therapist. Just like every client is not for me. I've turned down clients, and I've had people text me like, this isn't a good fit, and I'm like, okay, would you like me to refer you to somebody else? I'm okay with that. It's not a personal thing. I want you to get what you need, and if it's not me, I want to help you find it. So again, like I said, getting online, getting on YouTube, getting in a lot of these spiritual groups on Facebook, finding free stuff. A lot of people have ebooks on their website. And so there's tons of things to do. I like to post like journal prompts, shadow work prompts. And so there's some things that you can do on your own. Order the shadow work book off of TikTok. Start somewhere. Find something. Get those books. It didn't start with us. Doing the Work. I think it's a book called Doing the Work. Start with self-help books. Start with podcasts that are like spiritual podcasts. Access the free stuff until you can afford that. But manifest that. Manifest that I can find a therapist that I can afford, that meets my needs, that is spiritually aligned. Say your mantras. Use your affirmations. Start using your own power to manifest what it is that you want.
I love that. I don't know what I expected out of today's conversation. I was just like, Spirit, I know it's going to be good, but I was not expecting it to be this. And I am so grateful for you for this conversation, because I think ultimately, at whatever time frame, whoever entered this live today, I think the ultimate thing to take away from this is learning the art of self-awareness. and knowing when you need to ask for help and not feeling any sort of way about reaching out to someone for help. Okay. If you have ever had a reading with me, I am always, always, always telling people who have these deep seated issues to consider therapy. Consider going to someone that you can talk to help you on a level that I may not be able to understand. Right. And then the beginning of the live with the fibroids and the PCOS and like, oh my God, I was not, that blew my entire mind.
Yeah.
That blew like, oh my God. My hope is that when I get off, when we disconnect here, that I will upload it to my YouTube channel, because that can free so many people. And ultimately, it's just you knowing that a lot of people will say, I don't have time to go to therapy, or it's giving me this weird thing on here. A lot of people will say, I don't have the time. I don't have this. I don't have that. You got 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes.
If you
You
don't
have
have
5
an
minutes.
hour out of a whole week, you don't have 1 hour out of a whole week, you're not taking care of yourself. You have to make the time. I have people that's like, I can meet you on my lunch break, and we eat. I tell them, eat your food. While you're in therapy, eat your food. Again, we have to decolonize this thing that you have to be sitting upright and have on a sweater and glad. No, we gonna shoot the shit. We talking just like this. I ain't code switching. I ain't doing that. No, eat your food. But we gonna get this here work. We gonna do this work here. You can find an hour out of a week for yourself, because you would do it for anybody else. Somebody said, can I have an hour of your time? We would give it away so freely. But when it comes to ourselves, it's like, oh, I don't have the time. Make the time, because you deserve that.
And I can guarantee you where a lot of people, and I'm talking to myself too, I know exactly where you can find that hour. And you go on your settings on your phone and you look up your watch time and how long you sit here scrolling mindlessly all day. That also dims your light. That also dims your mental capacity, is being on these phones and constantly being in a state of either I'm in fear because I don't have it and I need to have it right now, or they're making it seem, oh my God, I got to have it and I have to have it this way because it's going on sale and then I'm not going to you're going to be in that. Or you're going to look at people like Aaron Parnas. I love him to death. He's great. But every time that breaking news shit comes up on my feed, I want to scroll every time, because it's constantly like, oh my God, I have, like, the whole world is on fire. And you end up spending more of your time outside of yourself than going within and stepping into that divine feminine energy that we all need to have a little bit more cognizance over at this point in time, and making sure that we rest properly, that we take care of ourselves and drink more water, go outside and step into the sun, stop eating so much fast food, eating late at night, eating to suppress things, covering up things, using food, using marijuana, using whatever to numb yourself instead of sitting in it. It's not gonna unalive you to sit in it and understand how you need to navigate through it and what avenues you need to take in order to heal that thing, so you don't always have to constantly be in a state of suppression for yourself. That's why these conversations are so important. The pettiness in the spiritual, and I'm going to go there, the pettiness in the spiritual community.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. Yeah.
The pettiness. Every time you spend more time in somebody else's business than your own, because you're either envious or you got evil eye, or you feel like there's no sense of community. There's no community in it anymore. You can't trust people anymore because you're wondering, oh, well, she's got this many followers, but then she has it. I want what she got, instead of creating your own lane. I say it all the time. Burger King is not hurting because McDonald's makes burgers.
At all.
They're not.
At all.
They're not. And no matter how much you try to emulate what somebody else is doing, or being envious of somebody because you feel like they are in a place where you feel like you should be, how about watering your own garden? Yeah. How about doing that? Imagine those ancestors that gave you this opportunity to be here at this point in time for you and to support you. And you were so busy looking at what everybody else is doing that you don't honor your own power that's within you for yourself. You don't honor it. You don't imagine them sitting there and waiting and like, what are we here for? Yep. When you want to look over at what somebody else is doing or being envious of what they're doing or throwing work at what somebody else is doing, stay in your lane and do what you're supposed to do. And if anything, learn from it.
Yes. Yes.
That's why mental health is also important in the spiritual community. We have to stop doing this to one another.
Yep.
We have to stop doing this as Black people. Every time we almost get it. We almost get there. And then somewhere that sneaky energy starts to come in and it completely dismantles the entire thing.
Yep.
And y'all know what I'm talking about. We recently had a whole gathering on this app for people like us to learn something from one another. And we got to a point where it got petty and now it doesn't exist anymore. And everybody who was watching us from the outside looking in is having their points proven.
Yep. Yep.
We end up looking crazy. I am my ancestors, every bit of it, every bit of every fiber of my being, the good, bad, and the indifferent. But we're more than just our traumas that were passed down to us. We're more than just the curses. We're more than just what we feel is a negative start back from where we can't start at square one. It's more than that. It's also the joy. It's also the happiness. Yeah. It's also being able to imagine being over here, coming to this land for your enslaved ancestors, coming over here and recognizing I'm in a completely different place. But some of these herbs, this water, I know like these things look familiar. I'm going to work it and I'm going to make it do what it needs to do to make sure that while we're on this journey that we're on right now, that I can make the absolute best of it. So don't you dare leave this live and sit here and say you don't have the time to take care of your mental health. You don't have 5 minutes to spend first thing in the morning showing gratitude for even waking up to begin with, that you don't have the time and the space and the opportunity. Your time is now. You don't have to wait for another moon. You don't have to wait for the spring equinox or whatever you feel like the energy has to be just right, or these planets paraded and everything else. The time is now for you to start making a change and implementing everything that Brandi has given today. Some powerful, powerful tools to use and start pressing forward in that way. If you say you always don't have it, you never will. You never will.
Power of the tongue. I say that all the time. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. What you speak will be so. You're co-creating with the universe. So whatever you say, the universe wants to prove you right. Whatever you say, that's what you're going to see. And so, yes, we have to change the way we speak. We have to change the way that we think. And knowing our own power and our own divinity, and it's so disrespectful to our ancestors when we don't take care of ourselves. All the work and sacrifice and things they went through for us to sit here and doubt ourselves, that's disrespectful. We supposed to be resting. They worked hard so that we don't have to. Chasing somebody, chasing something, we don't chase, we attract, we magic. So it's just if we want to honor them, we honor them by resting. We honor them by attracting. We honor them by manifesting. We honor them by having a cup of tea and starting with a slow morning. We honor them by meditating at night, not working tirelessly, not saying I don't have an hour for myself. How dare you?
Absolutely.
They really didn't have time. We do. And so understanding the magic and the privilege you already have, expressing gratitude. The more you express gratitude, the more that comes to you.
Absolutely. And there's a comment I want to address really quickly because I get it often on a lot of my videos about being unaware it's not anything negative that I am saying, but a lot of people get stuck on the part of them not knowing. Mm-hmm. I can't take accountability for things I didn't know. I didn't know that this affected me. We know that. We got that. We understand that. Mm-hmm. And we're not in a space where we are holding anybody accountable for things that they simply do not know. But now you do. So how much longer do you say the same story? Yeah. You ask your ancestors for these answers. Maybe they don't come in the beautiful white picket fence and that you expected it to, but it's somewhere to start. Now we do know. Now we can ask the questions. Now we know what questions to ask. Being self-aware starts with being in your own body, in your own spirit, minding your own business. So you can know when you get these intuitive hits, or when you look at Brandi and like, there's something about Brandi, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I need to book with her. I feel like I need to have a session with her. I don't know what it is, but Spirit, I trust you. I'm in my body, and everything in me feels like this is a yes. And the only way you're going to get to understanding that so you can continue to move forward instead of looking backward is to practice grounding. Yeah. Practice self-awareness. The Power of Now is a great book to read for you to help understand what it looks like to be self-aware. It's spending less time off of these devices and being outside and spending time with family, sitting at a table to eat a meal. Sitting with your family, if you have the luxury of having those things, making the best with what you already have. Because I promise you, you got more than what you think you do.
Yeah. And trust the fact that you were led to this live. Trust the fact that it came across your timeline. Whatever way that you're watching this, even if you're watching this later and it's on YouTube, understand that everything is a synchronicity. You came upon this because you were drawn to it for some reason. There was something for you to gather or learn. There's a reason you stayed on. You know what I mean? And so trust that. Some people are scrolling on their phones right now, and this is never going to cross their thing because it's not for them. So understand that you are so powerful. You can draw to you what's for you. You know what I mean? You are that powerful that you can do that. And
Absolutely.
So trust and honor your own divinity. Know that you are powerful. You are intuitive. And I tell people all the time, you need the 3 essence. You need silence, solitude, and stillness. Silence, solitude, and stillness. If you can just start there, sitting still, sitting alone for a minute, sitting in silence, no distractions, and just see what comes to you. What body sensations do you notice? What thoughts are you having? Sometimes we got to learn to sit with ourselves. We're so uncomfortable with ourselves, but we want other people to be around us and want to be with us. We don't even want to sit with ourselves. That's crazy.
And like, so you want them to like you, but do you like you?
Do you like you? Do you like you? Again, we're so busy looking for stuff outside of ourselves. We haven't even found and discovered ourselves. And so sometimes just sitting alone, you will be like, that's fun. Okay, I just noticed that. Okay, you know what I mean? Sometimes we don't do that. Set your timer for 5 minutes and just sit. Don't have the TV on, your phone, anything. Just sit for 5 minutes and just see if you can do it. It's so uncomfortable for some people, and that's okay. Because we've been conditioned to seek everything outside of ourselves. Even now, going to school, we were told that we didn't know enough. You had to go to school to learn. So much of this is told to us. You can't like yourself. If you go to, the store, everything in the store tells you that something's wrong with you. You need lashes, you need hair, you need color, you need semi-glutide, you need this, you need like everything. Your vagina doesn't smell good, so you need this body wash. Everything about these stores and culture and social media tells us that we're not enough as is. And that is crazy work. That is nasty work. You are so great. You are so magical. You are so you. You're not meant to be like anybody else. That is a disgrace to your ancestors to try to be like somebody else. You were made to be you. Anxiety and all. Use that energy for something else. That's alchemy. That's magic. Turning one substance into another. Use that pain and turn it into your purpose. You got a fucked up childhood. Write a book about it. Learn how to change that energy into something positive. I started my business because I was heartbroken. I didn't know what the fuck to do. I found them tarot cards because I need to know if that nigga was going to suffer for what he did to me. You know what I mean? Like, tell me something. Where I need to, so use your pain for something productive. Start going to the gym, getting on that motherfucking Stairmaster. That's some spiritual shit right there. Sweating all them toxins out. Talking to yourself, listening to some affirmations when you on that Stairmaster. I am a bad bitch. I am so worthy. I am enough. I am not
every time.
Like use that pain. You heartbroken, man. Heartbroken. How you going to get a whole master's degree? Learn how to channel energy. That's how powerful you can channel energy. You can be sad and turn that into a $1 million business. That's how magical you are. You can turn something into something else. That's how magical you are. Social media is free. You can make a page and start selling shirts If you crochet, start crocheting stuff. If you know how to cook, start selling plates. The gifts that we have, we already were born with. Use what's natural to you. You know how to dress? Start putting some shit on, taking some pictures. Say you're going to be a stylist. Turn your pain, your anxiety, your depression, turn that into something. That's how magical you are. Go for a walk and look side to side. That's EMDR. If you can't afford EMDR, start walking. And as you're walking, look side to side. It will rewire the trauma in your brain. You already have the gifts.
That's good.
If you can't afford that, start going in nature. Sitting by a lake and listening to the water. Start tapping. EFT tapping is free. It's videos on how to EFT tap. Tapping different parts of your body and saying affirmations. It will heal something in you. So again, it's no excuse. If you don't know, we can't hold you accountable. But when you know, you have to do something about it. Read the book, The Alchemist. Learn how to find your personal legend. Learn how to find your personal purpose. What are you good at naturally? What would you do for free? Start doing that. That is how you heal yourself. What did you like to do as a kid? Did you like to color? Get you an adult coloring book from Dollar Tree and some crayons. We have to start learning how to find ourselves. We are already ourselves. We just got to go back in and find us. Who was I before the world told me who to be? Who was I before that traumatic event? Get back to that person. You are still that person. As kids, we have boundaries. As kids, we speak up for ourselves. Kids will tell you, no, mine. And then we go to school and they say, you can't say no. You can't ask why. Go back to before people told you who to be and how to be. That is who you are. Ask questions. If you got talks all the time on your report card, use that. Use your voice. Use that throat shot. Use that platform. TikTok is free. Download TikTok. Start telling stuff on your timeline. Use your gifts. Use your gifts. Your natural, innate, God-given gifts. Whatever was passed down to you. Use that. That is alchemy.
Sure is. And authenticity is the highest vibration. Being yourself. And regardless of how many people watch it, regardless of how many people co-sign with you, I really don't give a damn. Nobody, you shouldn't either. Because if you're so busy doing things for the sake of pleasing other people or for likes or clicks in this society where that becomes more validation than simply understanding that, oh, I did that. And I only had this and I made this come out of it. We have to uncondition ourselves to that. And we are doing that with grace. And we are simply and I'm not speaking from the side of somebody who isn't a complete expert at it. I fail sometimes too. And I'm okay with those fails because at least I tried. At least I did it instead of letting it stew in my brain and then find out somebody else did it. And I could have look at what, you know what I'm saying? Yep. When it was also meant for me, when it was also meant for you. So understand that even with you having these tools and even getting to a point where you more deeply understand the intersectionality of spirituality and mental health and from a holistic point of view, that it's not just going to be a linear path upward where you're just at this ultimate stage of enlightenment and nothing will ever happen to you. That's not the point. And I pray that is not the message that we are portraying here for people. It is to further understand the aspects of you that make you who you are so that when these outside influences start to hit, we don't take those things personal. We know how to pivot instead of panic, and we continue along our journey the way that it's supposed to be done. It is simply that it is really that simple. We don't have to overcomplicate it. So I hope that everybody that is here, my manifestation for everyone while we're still riding off of this new moon energy that we have here is that every single person got at least one thing from either one of us today that you can take away and apply for yourself, but also share with somebody else. Community is so important right now. Sticking together and not suffering alone or being afraid and feeling like nobody understands you. It's okay. It's all right. You will find your community. You set that intention. You manifest that thing and understand each one of us has something that we're really good at. that we can bring to this table to create something so great together. I pray that you step into your power. I pray that you know how strong that you are and that you are the alchemist of your own life, taking what bones we were given and making something great out of it, and then also passing that down to our future generations. We aren't just here for ourselves. Leave a bit of you behind so someone can see the blueprint and then go further and create and go further in their journey for our children, for our descendants, and for honoring our ancestors and knowing that what they did was never in vain, ever in vain. Honor yourself, honor your journey, practice more self-awareness. Don't be afraid or don't make yourself feel bad because you need to rest. Yeah. Don't make yourself feel like it's a bad thing if you need to have a day to yourself, and honor resting. That is ancestral veneration.
Use that
1,000%.
Use that PTO. Use it. I don't care if you're not
so we can start looking and feeling like women again and stop being so manly.
Yes. Yes, we need to rest. We need to rest.
Oh, yeah. Brandi, this was the most amazing, nourishing conversation I have had in such a long time. And I am so grateful that you accepted the invite so we could have this conversation. And I'm so grateful to you. Where are you licensed and where can we find you?
Yes, so I'm currently licensed in North Carolina and Ohio. I also have my Florida license, so I can do virtual services there. I'm working on my South Carolina license now too. So I'm trying to branch out into more states. And that's another thing too. A lot of therapists with COVID were able to get multi-state licenses. So
great. Good.
Go to somebody's, even if you go to somebody's profile and it says they live in a state, ask where they're licensed at. Cause a lot of us are learning to get licensed in different states so that we can help people. And so, yes, I have 3. But I'm working on getting into these states because I recognize that, you know, we're everywhere. We're everywhere. And I do coaching. So I do spiritual coaching, and that is like kind of my way of being able to still service people without insurance, because your license, what state your license is matters because of insurance. I can't bill Alabama because I'm not licensed in Alabama. So if you're using insurance, you have to be in a state I'm licensed in. But if you're paying out of pocket, and, you know, we're doing spiritual coaching, we got a little more leeway with that. You know what I mean? So again, ask if your therapist offers coaching as a workaround. Because I think therapy and licensing, the boards, you know, they govern that stuff. But if it's coaching, we doing coaching, right? So again, ask therapist, ask for what you need, tell what you're looking for. But yes, I'm in those states. I do virtual. So like I said, if you're not in this state, but I'm licensed in your state, we can still see each other. I'm on TikTok, Divine Empress B. I'm on Instagram, Divine Empress B. My business is healyouwholeyou.com. So HEALYOUWHOLEYOU.com. And I'm on Facebook, Heal You, Whole You, Brandi. What's my name on Facebook? Brandi Doula Sherelle. I can't remember. Yes, Brandi Doula Sherelle, DOULA. So yeah, I'm everywhere. I'm it's not hard to find me. It's not hard to reach me. I respond to my DMs. I try to write everybody back. I have a spiritual Facebook group called the Healing Soul Tribe, where I do collective readings in there. I do full moon circles. And again, it's free. There's a community of people that are all spiritual in there. We all talk about our dreams, or, you know, what's happening with the moon, or, you know, what shadow work we need to do, or what's messing with us this week, or what pissed us off last week. So again, I'm trying to cultivate that community where we can find our people. And so I'm everywhere. I'm literally not hard to find. But yes, connect with me. Like I said, I'm trying to build community. I need community. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do this work alone either. So I'm also working with other spiritual therapists and other seers and other psychics on other things. And so, yes, I'm not hard to find. Please connect with me. And again, if you need help finding somebody in your area, I'll be happy to help you look for that too, because I'm also, you know, trying to find where everybody's at, because I can't do this work alone, you know? So
I love that. And when this, hopefully I can upload this to YouTube and everywhere that you can find Brandy, I will make sure to put it in the description. And y'all, I know Brandy looks 20 years old, but Brandy has over 16 years of experience with mental health. Okay. So this ain't just like a TikTok phenomenon. Brandy has been doing the work since dial up. Okay. So go ahead and do what you need to do and connect with her and tell your friends and everyone else who was not able to make it today that these services do exist and that these therapists do exist so we can heal and we can do the damn thing.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. I love
Thank
y'all
you so much for having me too. I so appreciate that. I was so honored. Like, oh my gosh, yes. So thank
No,
you.
absolutely. 1,000%. It was all in you and on you. I was like, yep, that's the one. I need that one. 1,000%.
Yes.
All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all for staying. And yeah, hit Brandy up if y'all got questions. Hit me up if you got questions. And go outside and ground and enjoy your day.
Bye.
All right. Bye, y'all.